Sure. I'll talk it out.
Yeah, let's just have a conversation.
Track 3.
Better not be fucking Dave Matthews Band.
Okay. Those of you who don't want to be a part of this can leave now.
Derek, please listen to me.
But if you choose to stay, which it seems like you guys are choosing,
Derek, please.
you understand and agree to the following terms and conditions.
Derek!
1.
Derek, this is the virus
You
talking.
hereby waive your right
Derek, please.
to your own personal bodily integrity.
This is not you.
2.
I'm a life.
Per the state versus Neville Reed, my colleague and I will not be held criminally liable for any felony or misdemeanor that you may be a victim of, including, but not limited to, aggravated assault, aggravated battery, disorderly conduct, destruction of property, mayhem, and first-degree murder. And 3, terms and conditions may change or be updated whenever the fuck I want! Consider yourselves notified.
What up, everyone? DJ Anubis here with you on the Metal Tavern Radio podcast with special guest Big Bad Wolf. How are you, sir?
Doing fine as always. Been up since 5. Been at college in the gym all day, and now I'm here. And now she's acting up on cue.
I see it. So cute. She's excited for the movie review. So we're here to talk Big Bad Wolf. We're getting ready to talk
No,
Wolf
let's not
Hollow.
talk that movie.
Yeah. Wolf Hollow 2023, directed by Mark Cantu. Cast consists of Felissa Rose, Lynn Lowry, Hannah Fearman, Angel Bradford, and Brandon Crumb is the main character. We have a lot of other ones, but those are the main ones. Plot-wise, a group of young filmmakers led by neophyte producer Alex Romero, played by Christina Krakowski, venture out on a location scout in rural Pennsylvania. Deep into the backcountry, it quickly becomes apparent they have stumbled upon a family of werewolves and must now survive the night. So, for you, what was your first impressions going into this?
Well, I could definitely tell it was an indie movie. I'll start off with that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not just the scenery, cinematography, but just the dialogue at times was just kind of bland for me. And then, at the very beginning, I'm like, it was like that big bonfire scene. I'm like, is this a werewolf movie or a vampire rave? Because everyone was dressed up.
Right.
I'm like, what the heck is this?
Yeah, that the campfire is the opening scene to this movie, and the girl plays Kitty. That's actually Angel Bradford, who I'm friends with on social media here, and very good actress in my opinion. She's does a lot of these indie films and stuff like that, but I love a lot of the stuff that she's in. So I kind of knew going in that she was in this movie. Now, won't give it away like how long she's in the movie, but yeah, the opening scene. One thing about this film that I noticed was we'll talk about it a little bit as we keep going, but there's a lot of nods to like other movies, and if you caught any of that, some of the stuff that we see in other horror films, and even quotes. Like there's some quotes in here that I thought were just downright hilarious. The guy that plays Lucky, Brandon Crumb, was fucking hilarious throughout this whole thing.
He reminds me of Jason Momoa.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, yeah, he has the same kind of sense of humor. Yeah.
I also found him to have probably the worst case of plot armor. Like, we're talking Batman level plot armor.
Yeah. So the campfire scene's going. You've got people gather around there, just like as you said, it kind of looked like they're ravers or partiers. I can't believe it. I think his name is Ray. I think that's the one guy that just kind of like is nerdy looking, long hair. Uh, we see Kitty walk up to him. She's trying to like kind of flirt and hit on him a little bit, and he's kind of like, "Nah, I'll just watch." But then he gets kind of jealous, and then soon after we see like certainly a werewolf attack. Some of this film kind of reminded a little bit like it was trying to be kind of like Dog Soldiers in some ways, but not near as good. But it's still pretty entertaining at this point. So obviously we're just getting started into the movie itself. So obviously the campers get killed, and I wouldn't say campers, ravers, or whatever you want to call them, but they're all like wiped out pretty gruesomely. We really don't see the werewolf at this point, just some hands and claws and stuff, but we know exactly what's going on.
Yeah, definitely. I found it funny that the guy got attacked while trying to urinate. Like he was relieving himself and then he gets ripped to shreds.
Right. I think at one point one of the guys was like, "Hey, here, doggy, I'll throw a stick and you fetch it," or some shit.
Yeah, I was like, oh gosh.
But then we a year later, we fast forward a year later, and we have this like camper full of young 20 somethings, including Ray, who's hanging with them, and they're like movie filmmakers and friends, and they're on their way back to what's Wolf Hollow. This is this little town in the backwoods somewhere, and so they come across to a gas station, and there's a couple local sheriffs or cops, female, male.
I couldn't tell that was a female. I had a hard time telling that was a female. I'm like, is that a man or is that a woman? Even with the name, I'm like, oh, for Pete's sakes.
Yeah, well, the funny thing was like the opening scene when we are introduced to that female cop. She's like coming out of the bathroom at the station. She's like something about the effect of like, "Yeah, someone don't go in there, man. I just took a nasty." And then she had to pause because all the kids were like in front of her and whatnot.
Oh, I remember now.
Yeah. So, but they end up finding out that Ray's with them, and they're kind of, "Oh, really? Ray's not coming in to say hi." So there's like this underlying tension now. Like, so they come outside, they see Ray. Ray's kind of like, "Hi, bye." He doesn't really want to speak with the cops that much. And they tell them where they're going to go film this movie or parts of it in Wolf Hollow. So they're like, the sheriff's like, "Well, do yourself a favor. Don't rub anybody the wrong way, and don't hang around after dark." It's basically what
Like
they
any
said.
typical werewolf film.
Right.
It's like American Werewolf in London. Stay on the path. If you're traveling, don't go through the moor. Stay on the path.
Yep. Stay on the path. Do not stray from the path. What do? They
Straight off the path.
Now this group of filmmakers, we've got this one girl who's like supposedly the lead producer, who's like eccentric, and she's always like uptight, and she has this like sort of like because they have like what I guess that they call Lynn Lowry, who we know from the Crazies, the original Anna cameo and the remake. She plays the older starlet who's basically the star of the film. So it's almost like they took, as far as characters, and brought this like star who everyone knows and put her in this film, which isn't going to be very good, but she's still clinging on to that fame. She's really a prima donna, and like she's
Are you
like,
talking about Marla?
Yes.
I friggin' hated her. I got so friggin' annoyed with the character. As soon as she died, I'm like, thank gosh.
But that's Lynn Lowry. Yeah, if you've never seen her in the Crazies, man, like was a cutie and everything, and just a really good role. Great movie. I know Neko likes it too. But yeah, she's playing our sort of eccentric prima donna actress who's expecting the crew to like wait on her hand and foot for everything. And
like the most disturbing part from that whole scene was when she came back on. She goes, "Where is a lady like myself supposed to relieve myself in such a heinous place?" And the woman walks in and goes, "Holy moly, it's like a dump truck came through here." To me, that was akin to the Suicide Squad and Harley Quinn when, sorry, I had to go number 2. Like, Like that's not something most moviegoers want to have going through their mind.
Right. So they start making their way to the grounds of Wolf Hollow, and they're going to start filming now. They've come across, is his name Brad, the father or the brother of
Yeah,
Ray?
I think it's Brad, something along those lines.
Yeah. So basically, Brad is Ray's older brother, and Brad's wife or girlfriend is Evie, played by Felissa Rose from Sleepaway Camp fame, and another cool actress who we've seen in a lot of horror films. Lovely person. So she's playing Evie, and like there's this tension that we know that's under there, where Ray just kind of took off and left him behind. He went to LA or whatever to be with these people because he wanted to get out of Wolf Hollow. So Brad comes along, and they're talking, and he's trying to convince Ray, like, why did you leave? You should have hung around. Evie's really pissed, but we can work it out. So we already know, like, Evie's really angry about shit, and it's unresolved. We heard the cops, they come back oftentimes and say, you need to resolve your shit with your Ray and all this other shit. So they start filming, and obviously there's this accident that happens with Marla where she's backing up and ends up falling down this hill
And breaks her leg.
snapping her leg. Yeah.
Yeah, one thing I hate too, like, first off, I also hate the character Beth, but it's not, people kept on blaming her like it's not her fault that she was one. It's not her fault that Marla got hurt. It is completely on Marla that she got hurt because she was literally being warned, like, hey, you're getting too close. You need to stop. And she was like, no, sweetie, I'm doing my own thing. It goes and breaks her leg, and she had a huge ego, a huge prima donna ego.
Yeah, Beth has, she was the one you kind of just wanted to hate too, though, because she had other issues. She had tension with Alex, who's the other producer or whatever. And so Beth was like this very uptight chick who's like trying to keep everything in order, but she's just, she doesn't really get along with Marla because she doesn't like the way Marla is. And so, like you said, she's not really responsible for why Marla fell. But what happens after all this gets to be really funny. So as they're bickering, as they're giving Marla like some sort of pain pill that really
actually Marla gave herself the pain pill.
Right. She's like taking a pain pill. She feels much better even though her legs broke and all this shit. And that's when we see there's a couple of other extra girls there who are part of the film crew, and one of them is immediately attacked by a werewolf. And everyone's like freaking out and going all over the place. And then, obviously Brad at this point has a rifle, but he doesn't shoot. But somehow Beth gets a hold of it, and they're trying to get away.
Yeah.
So they're looking around like, where is the creature? They're trying to get back to the van or whatever.
Yeah, and that thing I hated on Beth was so like everybody's like, please slow down, because they had so many people that were hurt that they're trying to help get back. And Beth was just going too fast. She goes, no, we got to keep going. And I'm like, Beth, for Pete's sake, you're the only one with a gun. Shouldn't you be in the back to watch them? It's like, why is the person with the weapon in the front of the line when they should be in the back of the line looking out for everyone?
Right. So what ends up happening, of course, is Beth is so nervous. She's got the gun. She ends up tripping. And then, like, the gun goes off and catches Marla right in the head.
Yep. I laughed too, but also it's like, again, and like, well, like, you just murdered her. It's like, first off, these kind of frightful accidents happen so common because, I mean, what happened was she tripped and the gun fell out of her hand. And the thing is like, once that gun lands on its butt, depending on how hard the landing is, it's going to discharge.
Yeah. But at this point, as you said, like, Alex believes that Beth murdered her, even though we do know it was an accident. But Beth didn't have a good relationship with Marla, didn't really like Marla. So there's like this tension between the two girls now. And so they're talking about like we're gonna get the cops, we're gonna have you go to jail. Like it's just a lot of shit talking going on, even though they're still worried about some freaking animal out in the woods. Um, so they do end up getting back to the camper, even though we start losing people along the way and they're getting cut up. There's one point where we talk about Lucky trying to defend the girls. The werewolf grabs his arm and rips the
Rips it right off.
Yeah. So we
What?
think I'm thinking to myself at that point, like, Lucky, you're dead, dude. Sorry.
Yeah. All I can think of is not sure if you watched the second. I'm sure everyone's probably watched the first animated Jungle Book that came out in the 1960s. Well, there was a second one that came out in the early 2000s, and there was one where Shere Khan is drinking water, and these vultures are just mocking him from the first film. Well, actually, they're not mocking him, but then this new one named Lucky shows up, and he's just mocking him, just literally antagonizing him. So finally, he gets down to his level. Shere Khan grabs him and by the throat and goes, "Isn't it ironic that your name is Lucky?" And then proceed, and then you never know what happens to Lucky until at the end of the film.
Right. Probably got consumed or eaten.
No, he came back later with a black eye
Oh, okay.
and mangled feathers.
So Lucky loses his arm, but at some point, like he sits back up because we think he's gonna be dead, but he gets up. He's like, I think I'm okay, and he starts talking about how I'm immortal now. So he's talking all this stuff, and because he's still alive, and so they get back to the camper. Lucky has no arm. They tie Beth up for a little bit because she's freaking out, but they think she's a murderer. They don't want to go anywhere, and it's just a bunch of chaos because it's getting dark. Brad's outside the van now. He's trying to convince Ray to come out so they can go back and be a family because it's basically Brad, Ray, Evie, and a couple of others, part of their little pack. And so we kind of start to learn that, yeah, okay, maybe Ray's part of this werewolf cult or whatever it is, a bunch of werewolves. And so Brad keeps trying to convince me we need to just come out. We need to settle this with Evie because Evie's pissed off. And Evie is the one that's actually doing the killing at this point. She's just freaked out and is pissed off. So at this point, how do you feel about the way the plot's unraveling?
At that point, I didn't know what to think. I just felt like it was a pretty it wasn't like a good plot, but it was just pretty basic. And all I can think of is with the child. No, I'm going to say that for another time. But at the moment, I'm just getting a lot of the Howling vibes.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Like, I was giving us a lot of the Howling vibes because there were times where like Brad and Eve could just go in and out of the forms at will. Mm-hmm. When the classic werewolf is as soon as night falls and it's a full moon, you ain't coming out of that transformation until a new day dawns.
Yeah, it's funny because Brad really loves his brother. Like he really wants him to be back home. And it's kind of weird because Ray's like, look, I don't mind visiting, but like I'm planning on going back to LA because he has like this close friendship with Alex and he really likes his friends. He doesn't really like being in Wolf Hollow. He doesn't like his family so much because of that things. And at this point,
Ray's pretty relatable because he moved out because he wanted to get away from everything and try to live more of a normal life.
Right, yeah, because apparently he wasn't like the rest of them. Like he wasn't really transforming. He wasn't really doing it. It's almost like he was
resisting.
Yeah, like almost like a Happy Feet type thing. He was kind of like the outcast. So Evie really says, he's not really one of us. Like even though he is by blood, he just really isn't because he doesn't really have the taste for it like they do. So Brad's still trying to get him to come out, and then like there's this tension now where everyone else is like, Brad, no way, we're not doing this. Ray doesn't want to come out, so now Brad's pissed. He's like, all right, well now you're just gonna get what you get because he starts transforming. Now I know that they can go into full transformations because we've seen it in this film, but the mid transforming was kind of off, like for me, like when Brad's like just in mid.
I thought he looked like Nosferatu.
Right. And that's kind of my problem there. I wish they would have just kind of gone.
They should have just had him full send it.
Right.
Because he was just like going a little bit forward. I'm like, I'm like, are they really gonna do this so when the females can look like the badass werewolf and the guys can all look like friggin' Nosferatu? It's like, send it.
Yeah, so I don't know if this is like a limitation on the special effects because you only have so much you can work with. So because you see like the other two part of the pack, they're fighting at one point with all of them too, and yet like the one blonde, she's not even really transforming at all. She's just got the claws and she's like talking shit. So it's not like Dog Soldiers in a sense where you have everybody into the full werewolf form. So this is just like some people are in full, some aren't. But I thought that they should have just went full blown with all of them. I thought that would have been a little bit better, but it's all dependent on budgets and stuff like that. So, so yeah, Brad is now transformed at least halfway, and he's like, everyone's like, oh shit. And in fact, Lucky makes a comment. He's like, dude, your brother's a werewolf. That's so cool. So,
and that's another thing too is like, throughout the entire movie, I kept thinking, Lucky survived. How is he not a werewolf?
Yeah. Well, there comes a moment, and this is where some of the nods to some of the other films I think come in, and one of them is, at one point they all have to come out. And they're all fighting the werewolves, so everyone's trying to fight each other, and Lucky comes out. He's got the shotgun in one arm, and of course he doesn't have the other arm. Now we saw
that was pretty badass. The way he was doing it.
Yeah, and earlier he was on his like TikTok or his Instagram feed, and he was live streaming and saying, "Yeah, just he starts going crazy, like talking to his followers and stuff." But he comes out, he's got the shotgun, he's trying to help Alex and them fight off these werewolves, and so he managed to kill one of them. Like he fooled him. He's like, oh, I must be out of bullets. Nope, boom.
Yeah, he just shot him right in the head.
But then he loses his other arm, like, and then again, we're all sitting there thinking, "Oh, he's done, dude. Like, you can't survive that." They didn't. It's not like they sealed up his wounds or anything. They can't survive that. And then as Alex and Ray are kind of on the ground talking and trying to recover from the attacks, Lucky sits up. He's like, "I think I'm okay. I think I'm immortal."
After being thrown up on,
right?
Like throughout the entire movie, I'm just thinking, for Pete's sakes, why do they have to give a? It's like if he would have went out like that, I would have been fine with it because he had a pretty good epic moment to cement that character. So it's like just kill him off. He had a good moment.
But he had his moment where it's this quote in his narration is from him is like he was like, he goes, "Oh man, you guys, I'm feeling a little woozy here." And the minute he said that, the first thing I was thinking of is from Scream. Like, the character, I forget his actor's name, but he says something similar towards the end of that movie. And I had to be a nod to it because using that term woozy kind of made me laugh my ass off. So then, so we start losing more people. Actually, Beth is bitten at one point, so she's becoming one. Now, I don't know. Did you ever see any more Beth after she was left the camper?
No, nuts. All we know is when they got this is when they came back, they had this blonde like hostage, and then they finally bit Beth. And I think that was Beth, not unless that was someone else, but I think that was supposed to be Beth because she at one point escaped and went to call, but then you heard the wolf sound, so I'm like, "Yep, she's done finally."
Yeah,
but I think she became a werewolf, but. I think she did, but it's unknown what happened to her after that.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
I like to think she probably died.
Yeah, because I remember seeing her transform a little bit, and then she ran off either to fight or whatever. But you never really see her end result. Like I don't recall anything what happened to her after that. So, yeah, people, they lose a couple of gay guys that were part of the group. They end up dying together on the ground.
Before that, I think it was Luna, which I gotta say is like the worst one of the worst moments I can think of, just because I'm like, why do they always have to make people so stupid in these movies? Because, like, she had the dagger. This girl that's literally mid-transformation out her friend is literally transforming. I'm like, for Pete's sakes, Luna, put her out for misery. Quit crying, for Pete's sakes.
That's right, because Ray had discovered this dagger. Apparently, they can kill a werewolf, and
He
apparently,
sent them out there to get it.
yeah, Ray apparently wanted to use it at one point to kill himself or something, but never did. But apparently, they had it. They lost it outside the camper, so they had to go retrieve it. So that created an opening for the werewolves to attack again. I think that is that how they killed the blonde chick. I think they did. Alex got her in a chest or something when she was on top.
Yeah, she got one. I know she got that one. I think she also got Evie, and then she got like a couple of others that were after them. But I know, like, again, I forget the girl's name, but it was the one that was looking after Marla. She came out. It was all ripped and torn, but she was like transforming. You could tell because obviously she's still alive and talking. But yeah, she was just crying, had the dagger. I'm like, why are they making people this stupid in these horror films?
It's campy. It's campy. It's campy. But there's another moment that I caught because I watched it a couple times, and so Alex, who, there's this moment where she's lighting up a flare that's a red flare, and she's hiding from Brad or Evie or whatever one it was. I don't remember. And the werewolf's kind of behind her and is looking around for her but can't see her. So immediately I'm thinking, oh, this is from Predator. Okay, I get what you're doing here. The wolf can't see past a red thing because it's not usually
it's too bright.
Right. So I thought I caught the little Predator moment there. She's hugging the tree and shit.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the whole red fisher thing kind of gave that away.
Yeah. So that was kind of cool. Yeah, so eventually Ray is forced to kind of like come to grips with the terms that he might be as bad as his rest of his family. So he starts half transforming again and fighting Brad and, fighting Evie, trying to help out Alex survive. And eventually we're in this mine shaft. Or it looks like a mine shaft. Might be just like an underground bunker or something, but
I just look at it as just like a shack.
Yeah. So Ray and Brad are going at it, and eventually Ray gets around to the front of Brad and tells Alex to take like this spear or something and like impale Brad, but she ends up impaling both, which is what really Ray intended to do because he knew he had to die too because of what he was. And so they both die, and Alex is left there in tears. Cops finally show up. Of course, cops had to deal with some werewolves too, like outside of that. So, but
the one thing that always got me was when that lady cop killed the werewolf with a broken broomstick and impaled him. I'm like, there's no way she's that strong enough to stab that right through his heart.
Not to mention it's a broomstick. So
so how are you gonna do that unless you had time to take a knife and sharpen it into a spear and then?
I think probably they probably didn't allude to it, but my guess is he probably survived that. He just maybe dies for like a minute and then comes back because But you know what? I mean, they some of it was like he gets shot or whatever, and I guess Ray said he gets shot, but it only hurts you. So they never really mentioned silver.
Yeah, he mentioned only silver bullets will work because he mentioned like, well, guns work. He goes, it will slow him down, but it's not going to kill him.
Yeah. Yeah, so it was either like decapitation or the
decapitation or silver, or it was basically decapitation or the silver bullet, or then. Then at one point he was able to remember that he has a dagger somewhere in the woods that he hid.
Yeah.
Or I think it was his brother, his family that hid it because, of course, they knew what that was for. And they're like, well, we don't want someone getting any bright ideas. We're just going to hide this so they never know.
Right. So getting towards the end there, we see that Alex is in a cop car and the cop turns to her and says, we'll ask the rest of the family, like, if they knew anything about all this. And she's like, rest of the family? So she looks out the window and
she's like, mother.
Yeah,
It
there's
was like a Samuel Jackson moment.
a couple kids and another one that are having like this like really mean look, like they're getting ready to transform, but they're not. But yeah, it kind of says to yourself, oh yeah, they're not quite all dead of the family. And then of course we get the post credits, which was kind of nice. I really liked that about the film was the post credit scenes where Lucky comes back, he's in a hospital, and some other guy patient's like in the hallway talking to the cops and the doctors, like he doesn't really feel comfortable around Lucky, but Lucky ends up like scratching his face and his arms grew back.
Oh yeah, I was like, oh
So he
geez.
runs out of the room and he's like, ah, and the cops almost like shoot him, but he's like, I am immortal. So really, Lucky was like one of my favorite characters in this.
He was definitely hilarious and the most epic, but I'm not. But again, my own personal opinion, he had way too much plot armor for such a movie.
All right, well, let's. You have any final thoughts on the film?
All I can think of is when a kid goes to his mom and someone's like, "Mommy, can we have the Howling?" And she goes, "But sweetie, we have the Howling at home. This is the Howling at home."
Yeah, that was a good moment. All right, well, let's get into our ratings. What did you give the film? All right, let's do it out of 10. So whatever out of 10.
I will give this a 4.5.
Wow. Okay. For me, this will never break my top 7 or 8, but I actually enjoyed this. I did enjoy.
Yeah, I
this.
will say this is definitely better than Big Bad Wolf by far. I mean, it set a good plot. It had the werewolves looking like wolves.
Yeah.
The story was pretty decent. I mean, Ray was pretty relatable. Lucky was hilarious. Alex was good. But it's like, my issue is that partial benefit was the story. And then also it's like some of the characters overreacting. Like again, with people blaming Beth for Marla getting hurt, for Marla getting killed and calling her a murderer. Like, for one, any sensible person would know that was strictly on Marla for not listening. And then two, it was an accidental misfire because, I mean, one, of course, Beth should have watched where she was stepping, but as soon as she tripped and that rifle fell on the ground, I mean, it was a definite it was going to go off.
Yeah, so I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10. I enjoyed this. This is one of the better, campier films out there. Like I said, it's never going to overtake any of the classics that you and I love so much, but I think when I've seen such a slew of really bad werewolf movies, this one's one of the better ones I would put like time and effort in watching. Like, it's fun. And I guess part of it is like Lynn Lowry and Felissa Rose are like legends in the horror world. So like, I really enjoyed that they were in it. Angel Bradford's like an up and coming starlet. So for me, like just some of the actors in this, I expected like the campy, conversations, and the guy that Brandon Crumb, who played Lucky, like he's like a sweet surprise in this. Like I really enjoyed that character a lot. I thought he was funny.
Yeah, he was definitely pretty good. He played that role pretty well. He just reminds me of Jason Momoa in the Fast and Furious 10 movie.
Mm-hmm. I haven't seen that one yet, so I'll have to get around to seeing that one.
I haven't seen it as well, but from what I've seen and heard, Jason Momoa literally blows it out of the water. Like, Vin Diesel got so mad that he was stealing the show. And I'm like, you are getting jealous and ticked off because someone else is taking your spotlight, which is helping your film that you are doing for Paul Walker. Which is
I think it's been kind of going on for a while, because the minute Dwayne Johnson got involved, he was stealing some thunder, and then Jason Statham, like when you start adding in these guys that are like really good action guys, that can take away from what they were initially doing. So, and even Charlize Theron's been pretty good in the franchise too. All right, man. Well, thanks for joining me on this review. I appreciate it.
No problem. It's always a pleasure to be here.
And for those of you who are watching this, please subscribe to the channel and please hit the like button for us. It gives us support. And
hit the
got any
bell button
comments?
too.
What's that?
I said hit the bell button too.
The bell button?
Yeah, so they can be notified of more videos.
Yes. Yeah, so if you guys have seen this or you have any comments or questions, you can hit us up in the comment section. Thanks, man. I do appreciate you hanging with me. So
Well, it's always fun to hang. At one point, I'm hoping to watch the last 4 hours of the Demeter soon.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not one for vampire films. Like, I find them to be extremely overrated, like zombie films. But this one, I'm looking at, and I'm like, you know what? This looks like it's actually going to be pretty decent and good. Plus, I like the design of Dracula. It's not like a typical creepy vampire. It's like an actual humanoid monster. So I'm like, okay, I'll give this one a watch.
Yeah, NECA and I went to see that. It wasn't, we liked it. We got a review on there somewhere for it. So, but yeah, I'd go suggest see it before you even see our review, just to go check it out.
Yeah, then I'm looking forward to Godzilla -1. That one, I think they're trying to go to a more horror level.
Yeah, that's going to be fun.
Oh, definitely. Hopefully we can all do that as a group for a review.
Sure. All right, everyone. Thank you for tuning in for this, and you hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thank you, Mr. Big Bad Wolf, and you hang tight, and we're going to do our outro.
All right.